First account. It was a regular Friday afternoon, with the end of the week approaching and students filled with anticipation for spring break. The calculus class was more restless than usual, as always happens when Friday rolls around and the desire for a break takes over. The atmosphere was relaxed, especially since we knew there wouldn't be a test, unlike many of the other classes. Our teacher, a calm and light-hearted man, decided to make the class more enjoyable. He pulled up a brand logo quiz on Sporkle, and that quickly got everyone engaged. We were laughing and joking as we tried to guess famous brands from around the world, completely unaware that, within minutes, our reality would shift drastically. That's when the principal's voice came over the intercom, abruptly ending the fun. He sounded rushed, almost desperate, as he announced the school was entering lockdown. Those words made everyone in the room go cold. It was a real emergency. Even our normally composed teacher moved quickly, shutting off the lights and guiding us silently to the farthest corner of the room. Not long after, the constant hum from a panel at the back of the room stopped, signaling that the school had likely cut the power as a safety measure. The once light-hearted room was now drowned in a tense silence, where fear spread like an invisible fog. Panic took over a few minutes later when we heard someone screaming down the hallway. 2 classmates began crying, which only made the fear worse. The screaming grew louder, and soon we could hear someone banging violently on classroom doors. He was shouting that he'd kill everyone, and the words sent chills down our spines. Then he began pounding on our own door. The force of the blows shook the room, and the volume of his shouting intensified with each hit. One of the terrified girls screamed, which only made the noise outside more aggressive. It felt like time had frozen as we waited, praying the chaos outside would move on. Eventually, the screaming figure in the hallway faded into the distance, and we remained frozen in silence, still unsure of what was really happening. After what seemed like an eternity, the principal's voice returned over the speakers, confirming how serious the situation was. He explained that a man, apparently not in his right mind, had broken into the school and assaulted a front office employee, forcing her to flee. No one knew whether the man was armed, making it all the more terrifying. Teachers were instructed to keep doors locked and not allow anyone to leave until further notice. The tension was suffocating. The real shock came hours later when we learned that one of the janitors had found the man asleep in a storage closet in the back of the school. According to rumors that spread among the students, there was a weapon sticking out of his pocket. However, by the time the police arrived, the man was gone. To this day, no one knows if he was ever found. But the memory of that day remains with all of us, and many still wonder what might have happened if he had stayed inside that room. Second account. At my school, lunch was divided into 2 shifts. The first period was for all 6th graders and part of the 7th grade, while the second was for the remaining 7th graders and all 8th graders. The day the second incident happened, the sky was overcast and rain poured steadily, a typical gloomy day in early October. Everything seemed normal during the first lunch period, until something unexpected happened. For loud bangs echoed across the courtyard. At first, I assumed it was thunder, just another stormy afternoon. But suddenly, the cafeteria erupted in screams. Students began running in panic, and I, not yet grasping the seriousness of the situation, thought everyone was overreacting. Moments later, the school security rushed in, shouting for everyone to move into the multipurpose room immediately. Even the kids in line waiting for lunch had to leave their trays behind and were herded inside. My friends and I followed the crowd, confused and full of questions. The room was huge, with a back wall made entirely of glass. As soon as we entered, staff began pulling the curtains shut, and adults stationed themselves at each exit. The atmosphere was tense, as if we were about to witness something no one wanted to see. My friend Eric, just as curious as I was, tried to find out what was going on. After speaking to one of the adults, he came back with a chilling story. Near the school, a mentally unstable man had barricaded himself inside his house and was threatening to harm himself and confront the police if forced out. Even worse, he had reportedly been seen walking near the school, watching students in a disturbing way. Eric also mentioned that the man was a known sex offender, which only deepened our fear and unease. We stayed locked in that room for over an hour, missing 2 full class periods as we waited for the situation to be resolved. Eventually, staff began escorting us back to our classrooms in small groups. On the way, I learned that the man lived on the same street as my classmate Brandy. She told us that last Halloween, she saw the same man at his window, cutting his own arm and writing something on the glass in blood. At the time, she thought it was just part of a creepy Halloween display. But now, after what had happened, we knew better. That disturbing memory, once brushed off as a holiday prank, had taken on a much darker, more terrifying meaning. Thankfully, he never made it onto school grounds that day. Third account. Shortly after graduating from college, I got a job as a computer assistant at the high school I had attended. The job was based in the basement, a cluttered area full of wires, boxes, and old equipment. But there was a small office down there that felt like a hidden sanctuary. It had spacious desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, and best of all, powerful air conditioning. A rare luxury in a building where not even the teachers had proper ventilation. That office also housed the school's servers and various tech systems. I landed the position thanks to 3 former computer teachers who had always supported me. The respect between us was mutual, and when the opportunity came, they didn't hesitate to recommend me. Everything was going smoothly until the day something completely unexpected happened. My 2 co-workers, Gary and Dave, were upstairs working on other tasks. I was having my lunch when I got a call from the front office telling me the school was on lockdown. There was a possible intruder in the building, potentially armed. I looked around and realized just how exposed I was. The office had no door, just a wide-open entrance, and the main basement door didn't even have a working lock. All I could do was turn off the lights and my computer screen. I sat in silence, trying to stay calm, sending texts to Gary and Dave, but neither responded. Time dragged on as I sat there in the dark, playing games on my phone, waiting for a call from the front office telling me it was over. About 20 minutes later, I heard the basement door creak open. The sound echoed like a warning through the corridor. My body went rigid. Then, hurried footsteps began descending the stairs. My stomach twisted as I slipped under the desk. Someone entered the office but didn't turn on the lights. The silence was unbearable. I could barely breathe. One sound could give me away. Then my phone buzzed. A new message. My heart stopped. The footsteps moved closer. I thought it was the end. The steps got louder, closer. I closed my eyes, frozen in fear. Then a hand grabbed my arm and pulled me out. I screamed, but the man quickly whispered that he was just hiding too. He wore a red plaid shirt, jeans, and a dark cap. He claimed he had come to pick up his son, but got told by a teacher to hide in the basement. Still shaken, I asked if he knew what was happening upstairs. He avoided answering, instead asking if there was another exit down here. His behavior set off alarms in my mind. Then I remembered the message. I pulled out my phone discreetly and read it. It was from Dave. He said an armed man had shot Mr. Buckley and described him. Red shirt and a cap. I nearly dropped the phone. I looked up at the man. He noticed my change in expression. The air grew heavier. There was no doubt the man was the shooter. My mind raced. I began to slowly back away, pretending to be calm, and then suddenly bolted for the stairs. A gunshot exploded behind me, ricocheting off metal nearby. The sound nearly made me fall, but I kept running with everything I had. At the top of the stairs, I met a team of police officers positioned at all exits. The moment the man followed me up, he was tackled and arrested. I could barely breathe, overwhelmed with relief and shock. Later, we found out Mr. Buckley had survived the shooting, though no one ever understood why he was targeted. There were whispers of past issues between them, but nothing was confirmed. What stayed with me the most wasn't just the fear, it was the echo of that gunshot, still ringing in my mind to this day.